Welcome to our exploration of the immigration crisis gripping the United States. As the nation faces pivotal shifts in policy and strategy, we find ourselves at a crossroads where decisions made today will reverberate for years to come. The end of Title 42 marks a significant turning point in border control, raising questions about security and public health as the swift expulsion of migrants comes to an end. Concurrently, the Biden administration's introduction of a new pathway for Central Americans and Colombians signals a departure from previous policies, with implications for families and the nation's immigration landscape. Yet amidst these developments lies a darker reality: the exploitation of migrants and the perilous journey through the Darien Gap. Exposed schemes by politicians reveal the depths of human greed, underscoring the complexities and challenges of the migrant experience. As nations worldwide grapple with walls and border controls, the United States takes an unconventional approach. Join us as we navigate through the maze of policy, politics, and human stories that define this critical moment in our nation's history. In the midst of the ongoing global pandemic, the United States has faced a significant challenge in managing its borders. In the turbulent year of 2020, former President Donald Trump invoked Title 42, a public health authority, to ensure that federal immigration officials could quickly return millions of migrants to their home countries. Fast forward to May 11, 2023, when President Biden ended Title 42 and expanded the catch and release network to expedite the processing of border crossers and migrants. This decision has had a profound impact on the border situation, with various groups of migrants, including cartel members, ex-convicts, and even military-aged Chinese men, making their way into the United States. Perhaps even more alarming is the revelation that border control seems to be slipping from U.S. hands into the grip of cartels. Reports indicate that these criminal organizations are profiting billions from human smuggling, raising questions about the integrity of border security. Are the borders truly being patrolled, or is there a darker reality at play? Without the provision stated on line 40 of the Title 42 policy, which allowed for the immediate expulsion of people crossing the border and their return to their countries of origin, law enforcement officers in places like Yuma, Arizona, have their hands tied, as they cannot apprehend and detain border crossers without facing potential kidnapping charges. It's a chilling reality that underscores the challenges faced by those on the front lines. The situation is not limited to the U.S.-Mexico border. The Panama Canal has seen a staggering 500% increase in people crossing through on their way to the United States, with some areas experiencing a 5,000% surge. This mass migration event has resulted in millions of foreign nationals entering the country, comparing to the resident population of major U.S. cities like Boston and Nashville. In recent years, the Biden administration has introduced a new pathway for Central Americans and Colombians with family in the United States to enter the country legally. According to CBS News, this initiative allows eligible migrants to fly to the U.S. and obtain government work permits if they have U.S. ties. The program, known as the Family Reunification Parole Process, is part of a broader plan to address unlawful crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border. The Biden administration has committed to welcoming up to 100,000 Central American migrants under this program, but officials have not provided a time frame for fulfilling that pledge, or a cap for Colombian applicants. While the new pathway aims to reunite families and provide a legal route for migrants to enter the United States, it has also been the focus of political attacks from Republicans, who believe immigration could be the Achilles heel of President Biden's administration. The Biden administration has also extended deportation relief to some Syrian and Burmese immigrants in the U.S., but it has yet to say whether it will reverse the Trump administration's move to end TPS protections for 300,000 immigrants from El Salvador, Haiti, Sudan, Nicaragua, Nepal, and Honduras. There are differing opinions on the effectiveness of the Biden administration's immigration policies. Supporters argue that these initiatives offer a more humane approach to immigration, while critics contend that they may encourage illegal immigration and burden the U.S. immigration system. The Darien Gap, a treacherous jungle between Panama and Colombia, has become a perilous route for migrants seeking to reach the United States. But as if the journey wasn't dangerous enough, migrants are now being exploited by politicians who have created a foundation called the New Light Darien Foundation. According to the NY Times, the foundation has hired over 2,000 local guides and backpack carriers, organizing them into teams with numbered t-shirts of varying colors. Migrants are forced to pay for tiers of services, including a basic $170 guide and security package to the border. The exploitation doesn't stop there. Migrants are charged for every step of the journey, from the boat ride to reach the rainforest to a plate of chicken and rice after their arduous climbing. The Foundation even offers all-inclusive packages to make the perilous trip faster and more bearable, with tents, boots, and other necessities, costing upwards of $500. Despite the Biden administration's vow to end the illicit movement of people through the Darien jungle, little has been done to address the situation, leaving migrants at the mercy of corrupt politicians. As the world watches, the question remains, could it be that the Biden administration's decision to keep the borders open is influenced by funding from these countries to facilitate the entry of their citizens? Considering the staggering national debt and the administration's lavish spending on various initiatives, including funding wars unrelated to national interests, unnecessary projects, and pursuing agendas that may not align with the needs of U.S. citizens, one might question the motives behind this border policy. Before the migrant crisis, both the United States and Canada aimed to welcome in 500,000 non-citizens a year. However, Canada now worries that this plan will result in excessive demand for housing, health, and social services, which are already under strain in the U.S. In an effort towards safety, U.S. Customs and Border Protection tried to guide Venezuelan prisoners to a flight back home, but Venezuela stopped accepting flights of migrants deported from the U.S. and Mexico. As the situation worsens, other countries are taking drastic measures. In September 2023, Mexico began building a wall to keep people from returning to the country once the US dollar collapses. Meanwhile, across the pond, Europe is ramping up efforts to fortify its borders with hundreds of miles of barriers on land and sea. From Finland's ambitious 125-mile high-tech fence along its border with Russia to Greece's completion of a 90-mile steel barrier along its border with Turkey, it's a continent-wide endeavor to stem the tide of illegal crossings. In stark contrast, the United States has torn down its walls and is allowing migrants from all over the world to enter the country, regardless of their backgrounds and convictions in their origin countries. U.S. citizens are questioning why, despite government and political assertions of overpopulation in the United States, are millions of migrants being allowed into our country in multiple waves? There has been a significant shift in the rights and opportunities afforded to migrants in the United States. These changes have sparked debate and controversy, as some states have moved to allow illegal migrants to become law enforcement officers and receive benefits previously reserved for citizens. Migrants are entering the workforce without pre-screening. According to Ferris.org, states like California, Colorado, and Illinois have passed laws allowing illegal aliens to join law enforcement agencies, a trend that's raising eyebrows nationwide. Shockingly, both the Virginia and Wisconsin legislatures are considering bills that would eliminate the U.S. citizenship requirement for law enforcement officers. Paired to this new law, in 2024, a federal judge in Illinois appointed by President Barack Obama ruled that illegal migrants can carry guns. This decision has raised concerns about public safety and the potential for increased crime. Meanwhile, migrants are navigating a complex landscape of healthcare and social services. While hospitals are obligated to provide emergency medical treatment, including for mental illness and free sex change operations that will normally cost a U.S. citizen $3 billion. In New York City, hundreds of migrant families will receive more food money than the city's low-income residents do from Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, benefits. This decision has been met with criticism from some who argue that it unfairly prioritizes migrants over citizens. But perhaps most striking of all are the legislative initiatives aimed at providing support and opportunities for migrants. In California, Assembly Bill 1840, known as the California Dream for All program, allows migrants to obtain interest-free home loans with $0 down or for future payments. This program only aims to provide affordable housing for migrants, but may also contribute to rising housing costs for U.S. citizens. You must wonder if the U.S. officials realize if these migrants get these homes, they can easily sublet it out to someone else or allow their kids to live in the house while the parent move on to get another $0 down home, which will eventually create generational wealth. These recent events have brought to light the growing tensions between Texas and the U.S. government over border security, as well as the broader impact of migrants on the U.S. economy and society. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott has been locked in a fierce battle with the Biden administration since 2021, fighting for the state's right to secure its border with Mexico. With Texas National Guard troops and state troopers deployed to its 1,254-mile-long border, Texas stands as the only border state to have constructed its own wall, a testament to the state's determination to safeguard its borders amidst growing concerns. As Texas takes bold steps to fortify its border, other states like New York City face a different challenge: the fallout from housing thousands of migrants seeking refuge. In a controversial move, nearly 2,000 migrants were relocated overnight from a tent shelter to a high school, sparking backlash from parents and residents. The logistical nightmare of remote learning and childcare poses a pressing question. How will parents juggle work and family obligations amidst this upheaval? Adding to the complexity, crime rates have reportedly increased, with several incidents involving migrants attacking New York City Police Department officers and Home Depot security guards. Critics argue that migrants are not facing the same consequences as U.S. citizens for similar actions. Meanwhile, the influx of migrants has also put a strain on the U.S. social welfare system. While U.S. citizens face strict scrutiny and requirements to obtain government assistance, migrants are being offered incentives such as free health insurance, housing loans, and other benefits. This has led to increased resentment among some U.S. citizens who struggle to make ends meet. As tensions escalate, homeowners find themselves caught in a legal quagmire, facing arrest for attempting to reclaim their property from illegal squatters. The erosion of property rights underscores the urgent need for comprehensive solutions that balance the rights of citizens and migrants. In the job market, U.S. citizens are being fired and replaced by migrants who can be paid less for their labor. Companies like Tyson Foods have recently terminated approximately 1,200 U.S. employees following a job fair targeted at illegals in New York, offering benefits such as health insurance and lawyers for their citizenship cases. The ongoing challenges at the U.S. border and the impact of migrants on the economy and society are complex and multifaceted. In March 2024, the Biden administration's border strategy has come under intense scrutiny, with Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas defending a policy to allow up to 30,000 migrants to be flown into the U.S. each month. This controversial policy has been deemed a key element of the administration's approach to the border crisis. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans attempted to stop non-citizens, including illegal migrants, from being counted on the census for the purposes of apportionment for House seats and the Electoral College. However, their efforts were thwarted when the measure failed to gain the support of a single Democrat. Critics argue that President Biden has the authority to shut down the border, surge asylum officers to the border, and send immigration judges. They believe that Biden's refusal to take these actions is an admission of fault for the last 3 years of the crisis. The U.S. is accumulating $1 trillion of debt every 100 days, and some believe that the Democrats' support for Biden's policies is a calculated move to secure his re-election in 2024. By allowing illegal migrants to participate in voting, they see Biden as their savior for allowing them to flee their countries and enter the U.S. with open arms.
¿Y ustedes van a poder votar en las elecciones?
Si se da la oportunidad, pues vamos a sufragar, pues no. Y,
¿Se van a votar por Joe Biden?
yeah.
¿Le gusta?
Biden.
¿Por qué?
Porque es una persona que tiene un enorme corazón. Está ayudando al pueblo emigrante.
¿Y ahora se siente que Joe Biden le ha dado la
Le
oportunidad?
vamos a dar, sí, le vamos a apoyar a él, sí.
Van a
Le vamos a
apoyar a Joe
ayudar.
Biden.
Exactamente,
¿Y qué
sí.
piensa sobre Trump?
No pienso nada, solamente que Dios lo bendiga, lo proteja a él y a toda su familia.
The first election was allegedly rigged through fraudulent votes, yet Biden was still allowed to become president. Now, with the rejection of the census bill, the votes of these migrants could be counted, further swaying the balance of power. This situation is seen as a prime example of creating a problem to later solve it. Critics believe that Biden has no intention of shutting down the border and is instead focused on securing votes for another 4 years in office before addressing the crisis. In conclusion, the U.S. border situation is complex and controversial. The Biden administration's policies have both supporters and critics as the country deals with the effects of increased migration on its economy and society. Changes in the border security, housing, and social welfare have sparked discussions about the rights and opportunities for migrants as well as potential consequences for U.S. citizens. It's important to think about the effects of these policies and how they'll impact the country in the long run. As we look to the future, it's evident that challenges lie ahead. However, confronting the truth head-on and addressing issues directly is essential. It's only through this approach that we can truly make meaningful strides forward and rectify the current state of affairs. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more important content. So until next time, stay curious.